Hello and welcome back to the CUPRA Simracing Series as we return to the endurance format here at the Temple of Speed. This is, of course, Monza time. Lewis McGlade alongside Robert Wiesenmüller for today's action in a slightly shorter race than we would have expected, as we're running 45 minutes instead of the standard 60, thanks to issues on the brakes, apparently.
Hello Lewis, hello everyone. Yes indeed, this track is very demanding on the brakes, and these cars of course built for sprint races, 20-25 minutes. That's a long time here in a 60-minute race at Spa. We had the first cars getting into trouble with brakes, and now I think we found the sweet spot. 45 minutes today here at Monza for the endurance race. Well, not quite an endurance race, I would say, maybe a longer sprint race, but of course including a mandatory pit stop. So it should be quite exciting.
Oh, absolutely. If the previous one was anything to go by back in Spa, we are going to get an incredible race ahead of us. We've had some great racing throughout the season so far, and it's culminated in a pretty tight championship at the top end of things. But as we prepare ourselves here at Monza, this is going to be ever so important, thanks to what round is next. That's the Macao street circuit, and of course one which I know is infamous across sim racing and motorsport in general, and you really want to have things wrapped up before we head there in a week's time.
Yes, indeed, Macao. Anything can happen there. 2 sprint races, of course, back then. And we've seen a lot of title hopes end in the barriers. Macao. And especially Alexander Dorn won't have fond memories of this track as he crashed there in the Esports WTCR Championship. Lost his hopes of qualifying for the final. And Benz Banki also crashed there, the guy who was second in the championship. And pretty much lost his hope of winning this championship. So not a lot of good memories for quite a few of these drivers here in this race.
But there is always time to rectify that as we're preparing ourselves to head into qualifying in a few moments' time. The tension may be higher here than normal thanks to Macao being next, so just applies more on the drivers here. And of course, this is certainly a track that you can race at. The high-speed straights and slow-speed chicanes, you really open yourself up to some excellent overtaking opportunities. And I'm sure with the drafting battle that we saw back in Spa, we're going to see more of that continue here.
Yes, indeed. I think it will be one of the most spectacular races of the season. And talking about spectacular races, we just came from one pretty spectacular race at the Hockenheimring. And I think, Lewis, you've got some highlight videos prepared for us from these 2 races.
Welcome to highlights for the CUPRA Simracing Series from the legendary Hockenheimring. We returned to the sprint format, which saw Haase on pole position for the first race. A solid start from the outside line gives Haase a clear run into turn 1. Banki dropped to 3rd behind Lerner. Dorneden threw it down the inside at the hairpin and gained positions through contact with second placed Lerner, which allowed Banki back into 2nd and Dorneden to 3rd. Lerner would eventually drop to 5th behind Baldi. Banki would make a clean move at the hairpin on Haase, who didn't fight initially but carried the momentum around the outside of the corner. Into the stadium section, Haase would hang it around the outside for the inside for the next corner, but Banki would gather the momentum and take the lead. Keithley would make contact at the hairpin, really scattering the pack and allowing the top 2 to clear off. Gogo Baldi would receive a slowdown penalty at turn 1. This would drop him all the way to 7th. Contact with the hairpin fired Brzezinski into the ball and towards the pack. Somehow he slotted a gap in the middle of them, but Lerner and Dorneden ran wide and Keithley went up to 3rd. At the front though, Haase kept the pressure on all race, but Banki would take the victory. Kuba Brzezinski would have recovered to 10th and thus reversed onto the pole. This time Dorneden had a good start and got 2nd, whilst Brzezinski clears off into the distance. Banki had an awful start to the race, and after contact with Barner, he was down in 20th position. Lerner gained a position at the hairpin. Whilst Keithley was going for a move, he clipped the back and half-spun Baldi, costing him 3 places. Keithley would dive back down the inside and get by Noj. Noj also fell behind Haase. Honzik got a good run on Benedek for 3rd. A little rubbing from Honzik opens the door for Lerner. Then Keithley dives on his teammate into the Sachs curve and pinches Benedek. Benedek drops a further position to Haase in the second to last corner as well. This going on allowed Brzezinski and Dorneden to pull away. Dorneden goes around the outside of the hairpin to take the lead. Brzezinski tried to cut back, but it was mistimed and Dorneden holds the lead. At turn 7, Keithley and Haase make contact to the apex. This pushed the pair very wide. Then Haase misses his braking point and avoids a huge crash. This mistake drops him to 7th though. Into the Sachs curve, Cooper goes for a lunge and takes the lead. An audacious pass at the final corner puts Honzik ahead of Keithley. At the lead, Dorniden would go around the outside of Brzezinski for the lead. And then on the final lap, Brzezinski would get back down the inside and retake the lead, which would translate itself into a victory ahead of Dorniden. Things tightening up at the top as Alexander Dorniden leads on 376 points ahead of Banki, Lerner and Noj. We return to the 60-minute format at Monza next time, and we'll see you there.
Thanks a lot, Lewis. So we already had a short look at the championship standings, and this white car that just passed our screen, that's Alexander Dorniden, that's the championship leader. But he was not the fastest driver at Monza in the pre-qualifying. That was another driver, his big rival in the championship. And you see at the moment it's just a P4 in the practice session, just coming out of the pits. Hence Banki. Pretty good season for Benz Banki so far, has to be said. Only driver to get 2 victories so far. So, yeah, Lewis, what do you say? Does he stand a chance against Dorniden?
A very well-deserved victory, but the thing that is noted for Benz Banki, of course, he's up there not too far. I think it's 22 points off of the championship lead presently. The thing that struggled with him, despite the 2 victories, has been the consistency that's just not really pieced itself together. Of course, we did see on the highlights package there, he got mauled by Barner at turn 2, which really dropped it down the order. Did actually recover in that race. Unfortunately, there was so much action I couldn't actually catch it, but we did note it on the broadcast. Recovered his way all the way up into 10th position, which realistically, if you're trying to go for the championship, you need to gain as many positions as possible. Coming from 20th to 10th is a pretty good effort, considering he was also at the back twice, as far as I remember. There is potential for Banki to get involved in that championship, especially with Macao next, but he needs to have a very, very good round here at Monza. Potentially, a 3rd victory of the season might be needed here, whilst we're at the Temple of Speed.
Let's take just another look at the championship standings, including the drop score. And it's a little bit complicated to calculate the championship here, but I will talk you through it. Basically, Alexander Dorniden sitting on 376 points, but that's already with his worst result deducted from the score. And if he gets these 151 points that he scored in his worst round added to it, then it's possible for him that he can even wrap up the championship today here in Monza. But he needs a very, very good score. He needs to score at least 151 points. And he also needs to score 41 points more than Benz Banki in this round. So it is possible, especially with 215 points on offer. 200 points for a victory, 180 points for a 2nd place. And 15 points also for the pole position, so it's definitely possible for Alexander Dorniden to take the championship title here. But he needs a little bit of luck, and he especially needs a bad round from Benz Banki. And given that Banki was the fastest driver in the pre-qualifying session, I'm not sure how likely that is.
You would require a bit of luck to do it, but it is entirely possible. We did see the last endurance race, again air quotes, that we had back in Spa. That's the one that Benz Banki has his drop score from. Is back there. He only scored 114 points, including 2 from qualifying, across the weekend's action. So that's where his drop scores come from. Was the previous longer form race, and that's where Alexander Dorniden picked up 200 and how many was it? I think it was 212 in total after qualifying. He ended up qualifying 2nd.
There. He was not on pole.
Incredible. No
position for either of these drivers in the season.
Brzezinski was on pole if memory serves that day at Spa.
Brzezinski is also back in the race today. Let's have a short look at the entry list here. See a couple of debutants, a lot of Hungarian drivers here in the race. Gyula Messes in P12, he's one of the debutants. And also Mark Nanduri is back. Great to see him once again in the screened race here. Balazs Notch also in P20, another Notch. And then Sertu Yeni Pasali from Turkey also making his debut, qualified in P23.
Yeah, we'll try and not get the notches all mixed up. But yeah, well, Kiefer Brzezinski is one that I'd be keeping an eye on, because coming into this, obviously, he's had a pole position before in the season, has recently just rocked up a victory as well, which we saw at Hockenheim in a tantalising race against our championship leader, who's on the screen there, I think, Alexander Dorniden. It was a good race from him. He really showed that Alex Dornadon couldn't get by. Well, could, but then couldn't hold in front. As a great showing from the pole man. And yeah, potentially things might not unfold the same way. But as we head into Monza, it's qualifying time. And who is going to be sitting on pole position after this frantic 15-minute session? We see our championship leader leaving the pit lane a country mile ahead of anyone else.
Yes, we've seen it plenty of times that drivers battle really hard in a qualifying session. Alexander Dorneden won't have to do that. He's got clean air, but that also means he won't have a draft. As you may know, he's the only driver for FA Racing Esports. He doesn't have a teammate in this championship. Same story, of course, for Ben Spunky, same story for Florian Hasse. But other teams, like Williams Esports, for example, they can work together. And also Mira, of course, Garibaldi, and David Notch, you can see them now, driving behind each other. Baldi actually ahead of Notch at the moment in the car with the number 14, white, bronze, and black one from our screen.
And how important is Slipstream going to be around this legendary circuit? It certainly proved itself to be important at key parts of motorsport history. Of course, we'll look to the legends of doing the Slipstream action. Of course, Ferrari, obviously a joke because they're very bad at it. But which team will get it right here? I say Mirror Esports, they've got a couple of cars to play with. Williams Esports have also got a few. Who's that staying in the pit lane? One of those Williams Esports drivers, Jack Keithley. I think you've got more on him.
Yes, he has to start from the back of the grid because he picked up a penalty. Well, actually 3 penalties in the last round. And that means he's got a qualifying ban. Has to start from the back, so Williams down to Brzezinski, Lerner and Pinchers. But I mean, that's still a pretty good lineup.
It's still 3 that can assist themselves out on circuit. See now as all of the drivers in the background are trying to filter each other out by not getting into each other. They don't want to give slipstream to someone they don't have to. And obviously, if you're driving around, you're going to get slipstream from someone who doesn't want to give it. Of course you will. But that's allowed this man all the way out in the front with absolutely no one around him, not a single distraction about, to start his lap of the Monza circuit. As we run down towards the first chicane, the Rettifilio. It's asserted itself in history as an overtaking opportunity for sure, but one which has filled itself with mistakes. Look at this, he's going to ride the curbs. Nicely through the first one, nicely through the second one. Puts the power down nice and easy as we head towards Curva Grande.
These curves can be really nasty in this car. You have to be sure that you hit them with the wheels and don't go too far over them, because when the rear wheel hits the curb, it really unsettles your car. Very tricky to drive here.
And there's a section which will definitely add itself a few curb hops, the De La Roger chicane. This is really big. The first one you don't hit too much, but that second one you literally throw the entire car over, run off into the gravel trap. That'll happen a lot today. And then the 2 Lesmos, very, very tricky. Late apex corners, the pair of them, the rear end, you can kind of feel, even from this camera angle, sliding out a little bit. And then the second one, as it dips and then picks itself back up again, it's almost like a massive bump on the inside of that corner, making it very, very tricky, because if you catch it wrong when you're putting the power down, you'll just understeer straight off the circuit as we head towards Ascari, the highest speed section on this circuit.
Let's see if Dorniden has to counter steer here.
Yeah, proper curb hopping here. Let's have a look. Right on board. Smooth.
That's one of the trickiest scenes there. Because you have to be so precise not to cut too much over the curb on the inside, on the exit of the Ascari. Because then you can get track limits, you can get your lap invalidated, of course, or a slowdown penalty in the race. Parabolica.
Absolutely. Parabolica is slightly banked. It's more so than it looks, but it definitely helps. To the line though, Rob, what times are you going to set?
Let's see, 56 is a good time here. Low 56. Don't think this will be it.
Dornaden's going to set
6.9.
6.9, not bad, but not great. Oh, time's coming in from Gergo, looking very, very quick. Look at the slipstream that he's got. What's he going to do to the line? They're pulling out of the slipstream, all super duper, super tight. And to the line of 56.4 for Gergo Baldi.
Already very quick, almost half a second faster than Lerner, who was ahead of him there.
I think Lerner might have just caught that slipstream at the wrong time, and Gergo Baldi got it just about right. This is the man under pressure to keep this championship alive heading into the next round at Macao. Ben Spanky's knocked up 2 victories in 2019's CUPRA Simracing Series and to the line. He's currently in 16th after not setting a time. He's going to go to second on a 56.5 with not really much slipstream in that final bit, Rob.
And I think he's driving together with Christian Juháš there, the other driver from Slovakia. And working on a strategy for this qualifying session, and still a decent time. Especially when you see the gap to P3. Oh, someone in the wall.
Whoa, Moritz Lerner just got caught out there, and straight on he goes.
And that, of course, can also... It's not quite within the rules to skip the entire chicane there to get a better run in qualifying. Lerner trying not to waste any time. Let's check with one of the drivers who really impressed us in the pre-qualifying here, Slaven Stulic. Driver from Croatia, driving for Absolute Motorsport Racing Team, and that's an Italian team. So they are very prepared here on this track. He won the test race yesterday evening, and he's looking stronger than in the other races before, and he also got no Chris Shepherd in this race.
None of his best friend, yeah, absolutely. Pre-qualified in 7th position did Slaven Stulic, showing some incredible speed at the moment, and picking up some slipstream as well as he's going to run towards the line. Not sure who he's getting there at the moment, but as we hit the start-finish line, he's currently in 13th position. Where's he going to move himself to? To 10th, back into the top 10, a 57.3, I believe it was for him.
David Notch jumped up to 3rd. Actually, you have only 16 drivers who set a time, but everyone's on the server. So there's 7 people who couldn't set a lap time yet because of the track limits, and of course Keithley has to stay in the pits. Bunky on a green sector at the moment. And that's the slipstream, and that's the pole.
Oof. Only by a small margin, only 18 thousandths of a second did Ben Spanky grab that pole position, a 56.423 to him. These two at the top end, Goga Baldi and Ben Spanky, by the way, currently separating the field by 0.4 of a second, which is an incredible margin in a series that showed this much competitiveness.
Yes, indeed it is. Very impressive performance.
The drivers yet to set a time, by the way, is Dobbs, Courtois, Juháš, I can't see who the other one is.
Messers, Notch, and Bo Dixon as well.
And that's Balázs Notch.
Yes, indeed. David Notch up to P3 now, so our esports looking quite good here.
They've shown well in qualifying previously. Poleman at the previous longer distance race at Spa with no slipstream, setting a blistering first sector. What's he going to do towards that second? It comes up just before we hit Ascari. Through it, oh, he's lost quite a bit of time there though. Lack of slipstream potentially hurting the Williams esports driver, the race victor in the previous race of the season. 6 minutes 40 to go. We'll remind you, one more time, I do it every round, that as soon as that session hits to 0, that's when we head straight into the race. There is no allowing of finishing of laps. It is just done. So you've got to be starting your final lap within the final 1 minute and, if you're setting a blistering time, 56.
Look at this man, Florian Hasse, completely out of position here, only in P14.
Yeah, he currently holds 5th in the standings at the moment. 321 points to his name. That is 55 off of Alexander Dorderdin. Down in 14th, it's going to fall apart for him entirely.
Indeed. Oh, and there's David Notch. Or was it? I think it was Moritz Lerner, actually. Quite sure who of them improved, but either way, Notch in 3rd, Lerner in 4th. Or even down to 5th, ahead of Thorsten Ulrich.
I think they both improved, because Notch improved to a 56.658 and Lerner to a 56.706. Dorderdin in 5th on a 56.837. Far behind the man he needs to beat if he wants to wrap up the championship a week early. But of course, it'll all come down to the race, so don't you worry about that. And if there's one thing that we know about the CUPRA Simracing Series here on RaceRoom Racing Experiences, the racing is pretty intense. Nandari going to go down the inside to the chicane. Oh, it's going to cost them both time. Almost completely pointless trying that.
That was the exact corner where Mark Nandari secured one of the most surprising victories in RaceRoom competition history. It's back in the Esports WTCC 2017. It's the first race that I ever streamed for RaceRoom. Mark Nandari passed Tim Heinemann in that corner, won the race, and yeah, now he's finally back in the top split here in the CUPRA Simracing Series.
Yeah, we've seen him quite a few times across RaceRoom competition, and I remember making the highlights package of the race, thinking, "What am I making here? What's he done? Oh my goodness!" I'm currently in 8th position at the moment, doing a fairly decent job.
He's been signed by Avid Chronic Racing, together with Christian Juhasz as well, and quite a few races in the past in RaceRoom, Jack Keithley and Adam Pinches, but has been a bit quiet recently. Now they're back with Nandari and Juhasz.
It's a good signing for ACR, especially as the contingent was fairly falling apart, to be honest. Look at this lap from Gergo Baudi though, no slipstream as well for him. The Hungarian's going to head to the line, currently on a 56.441. As I said before, 18 thousandths of a second down on the time he needs to do. Oh, does he improve? I don't think he does. In the end, he doesn't improve position, I can tell you that.
Yeah, that was a bit strange. It showed 3 purple sectors, but perhaps he had an invalidated lap or so? Strange either way. Bo Dixon up to P8.
It's a good qualifying for Bo Dixon. We saw good out of him back in Spa. A quality drive then, and looking to be a quality one now. He likes these longer form races apparently. That is provided he's not heavy on the brakes. Oh my goodness me, 18th. For Florian Hasse.
On a good lap now, but he needs to finish it.
Ooh.
Must have cost some time.
Somehow gathered it up, I think, more by keeping his foot in it more than anything else. He's going to get one more after this, and then that'll be a session done to the Parabolica. And currently down in 18th position at the moment, alongside Slaven Stulic as well, who, I say, with that quality pre-qualifying effort, currently down in 17th position is Stulic as well. You can see that in the timesheet on your left-hand side. Florian Haas is going to come towards the line, maybe just picking up a little bit of a slipstream, just the faint wisps of it. What's he going to do? 8th position. Great, but an excellent recovery in this session.
Decent result for him, but not what he was looking for, probably. Chinsky was purple, but he's definitely pulling over here. And at the moment, none of the top drivers have really good sectors. One of the best ones from the sectors at the moment is Christian Juhasz.
Down in 15th presently, that ACR contingent. See if they've got one car in the top 10 at the moment. Let's see if they can sneak another one up there. If he does get in there, then that'll knock the other one out. There you go. So Nandari's now outside the top 10 for ACR, but they're still there or thereabouts. It's a nice improvement for Christian Juhasz on his final lap in the session. Alex Dornadin, decent in the first sector, currently qualified in that 5th spot, way behind his closest championship rival of Bence Banki, who's on the pole and is done for the session. Same as Gergo Baudi. The pair are finished for at least this session at Monza and preparing themselves for the race. That mentality, that mindset. But what could Dornadin do for FA Racing Esports? It's not a good second sector for him.
Oh, this is not what he was looking for. Pretty clean through Ascari, but not sure if he can improve. Notch and Lerner are still out there, but they're not showing with green sectors. Hasse has a green sector. Stulic just improved, I think, up to P11.
Dornadin through the Parabolica. Is there going to be any improvement? I highly doubt it based on those sector splits, but you never know. You've always got to keep your foot in. He's currently on a 7.43, so has improved his time previous, but just not enough. All the way over to the right-hand side, basically by the wall and to the line. Doesn't improve. Improves. I think he improves his time a little bit, but not his position.
Notch won't finish his lap. We're not pulling into the pit lane, so that means Ben Spunky is our pole sitter.
A fairly calm end to the session there, Rob.
Yes, but that's also the nature of Monza, of course. It sometimes takes some time to find a good position with the slipstream. So we have Bunky on the pole, ahead of Baldi, ahead of Notch, then Lerner, and then Dorneden. The hopes of securing the championship here at Monza are looking a little bit more slim than before.
But, as we all say, it always comes down to the race. And with a 45-minute race ahead of us, this is where it could be decided. Again, I'm in the camp of it's not going to be. This is going to the championship finale. As we look at the circuit we do battle at today, one circuit of extremely high speed into some slow speed chicanes and plenty of overtaking opportunities. 26 seconds before we hit the green. And who is your pick for the win, Rob?
It's always hard to predict, but I'm going with Garibaldi this time, just because he has a teammate that he can work with.
I am going to go with our poleman Ben Spanky. I think he realistically needs a third, and I think he's going to be going for it. To the top end of the field then, Ben Spanky on pole position ahead of Gergo Baldi. And as we look, we go green, and the session is underway. You see Jack Keithley instantly dropping out in the background there. Going to have massive slipstream towards the first chicane, the Retifilio, but it looks like Ben Spanky had a decent translation on that start, as they're going to be three wide in the background. Alex Donaldon trying to get involved, try and move his way up onto the podium already. Ben Spanky clear, and that's, Gergo Baldi also clear, but look at that from Alex Donaldon, up to third already. Incredible start as we look at this helicopter shot towards the Curva Grande. Fantastic start from the German. Who's that off in the background? Is that Jack Keithley?
Oh, that's Thorsten Ulrich. He was in an incident with Dixon, I think, at the front of the field. Still Ben Spunky. You can already see how much Garibaldi is closing in.
A terrible shame there for Thorsten Ulrich after showing some quality form throughout the season. He'll have to wait until potentially Macao before he can attempt a victory as we head towards the first Lesmo for the first time. And you can see the top tier of Ben Spanky, Gergo Baldi pulling away from Alexander Donaldon in the background as they are a little trio for that third spot. But Ben Spanky, he's under a lot of pressure now, isn't he? That slipstream coming into full effect, and the Hungarian for Mirror Esports filling up the mirrors of Ben Spanky's car. David Noj for Mirror Esports also trying to fill the mirrors of someone who's going to look into Ascari. Oh, he's going to commit into Ascari as well. This could be an incredible move as he's going to have to go around the outside. This is for Moritz Lerner as well. They're going to be side by side through Ascari, and all that has done is cost them both time to Alex Dorneden. Very risky early on. You see Ben Spanky as well in the foreground trying to break the slipstream. But is it going to work? Oh, Gergo Baldi, we've said before, we said this at Spa actually, a very, very smart driver himself. Worked with Moritz Lerner to really help the pair out in the lead of the race. Unfortunately, it didn't come to very much. He ended up fourth in that race, but considering the strategic masterclass that it was, he went from I think, about ninth prior to the pit stops up into that fourth spot. What can he do today? The slipstream coming down to turn one. This is what we thought was going to happen all day long. As we head towards the Retifilio, he pulls out at the last possible moment, and he's going to try and go around the outside and take the lead, but Ben Spanky has the favourable inside line. Heavy on the brakes, and Ben Spanky just hangs on, but an excellent run there. Oh, who's this in the background? Christian Yeharsh as well, with Brzezinski's involved with this. We've got Simosi as well. I think Nandori as well. Super tight.
Nandori just went past Yeharsh there, but back to the leaders. Spanky, a lot of pressure by Garibaldi at the moment.
Doesn't seem like he wants to pass right now, Rob. He doesn't want to waste time. We saw his teammate doing that.
That was a careful braking point there from Garibaldi.
Doesn't really want to hit the back of Ben Spanky, surely. I'm not sure if he's a bit unnerved, a bit perturbed by the Hungarian behind. But if you look in the background, is catching. And for Ben Spanky, he does not want to let Dorneden by because it's going to give him a mountainous effort coming into Macao. David Noj getting a position done there, up into fourth position ahead of Moritz Lerner. No side-by-side at Ascari this time. Oh, Jack Keithley's moved his way back up the order, by the way. He's now in 15th position as CUPRA Brzezinski, having a little bit of side-by-side there with Christian Juhasz. Oh, excellent run off the corner, though. That should be 7th, easily done by the time they hit the Parabolica. But if you look in the background, you've got Stulic as well, who did not qualify as well as he wanted in this race, looking to gain as many positions as he possibly can. And I think with the run that he got off of Ascari, as we head into the Parabolica now, Stulic excellently late on the brakes, but maybe too late. And Juhasz is going to get back through. Oh, as is Florian Haase. Haase trying to use all these other cars to work his way back up the order after a not so great qualifying session. Oh, it's me back at the lead. It's going to be side by side, but again, Gergo Baudi's just not fancying it right now. Oh, in the background, who was that? That's Lerner and Noj. Refocus on that. And Noj, oh, Lerner massively wide there. Contact as well. Haase being pushed around a little bit. Christian Juhasz just dropped off the back of CUPRA Brzezinski. The fighting here is absolutely intense. Ben Spanky still hanging on to the lead over Gergo Baudi, but that's an excellent run into the Lesmo. Is this Gergo Baudi's first opportunity? Oh, that was super tight. We saw Ben Spanky doing that with Florian Haase back in the first Hockenheim race, where he really pinched him coming into the final few laps after a good run out of the hairpin, appearing to use the same tactics against the Hungarian of Gergo Baudi, but Alex Dorneden is right here, right now.
He's caught up so much there when they were battling. I'm a little bit surprised that Baldi didn't push Bunky gain a gap, but I guess he's fighting against both Dorneden and Bunky for the championship.
Still very early doors in this race, though, with only 5 minutes complete. We still have 40 to go and a pit stop, and that is really where Gergo Baudi made all of his advantage in the previous longer distance race. As you can see on your board on the left-hand side as well, Jack Keithley's recovered to 14th now from the back of the grid, as Juhasz and Haase are going side by side towards the Parabolica. Is Florian Haase going to do this now? He's going to have to make it work around the outside, or is he going to go for a cutback? There's a little bit of a rub. Oh, he's gone for a gap that didn't exist. That's going to slow these two all the way down this main straight. Oh, there's contact on the rejoin. Is that Stulic?
No, it was not Stulic. It was Courtois, I think, on the outside, or Ponto.
Contact on the
Stulic went past both of them there. Opportunistic driving by the man from Croatia. Now he has to defend. So on the inside, it's Juhasz again.
Who was that as well? Was that, I think, Noj in the background? Might be Smosi, who was going sliding, slippery sliding all over the place. Oh, Jack Keithley's dropping down the order. Jack Keithley is dropping down the order again. He's down in 21st position. Unfortunately, we cannot get a replay of that, but obviously an incident there at the first chicane, and after that great drive up to 14th. An incident on his in his race now drops him to 21st position for the Englishman.
Plenty of battles throughout the field. Just having a close look here at the battle around Pinches. Oh my goodness.
That was aggressive. Pinches up to 16th, just getting by Bo Dixon there. After Bo Dixon's excellent qualifying session, it's just not gone quite his way in the race. We reckon there might have been an incident between himself and Torsten Ulrich earlier, and from that, the puzzle pieces have really fallen apart. Now Pinches sets his sights on Yann Courtois and Vincent Barriere, and towards the front end of the field, we've got Stulic and Haase again side by side up towards Ascari. How many side by sides are we going to get into here? We look from the helicam. Oh, it's not giving us the right angle. Stulic going to have to drop behind Florian Haase here. Haase had the high ground, so it would seem, at least for now.
Back to the leaders for a moment, because it's not over there either. Ben Spunky still has to defend against Gergo Baudi, but Alexander Dorneden is taking a bit of a backseat here. Just waiting for a mistake from the drivers ahead of him.
Yeah, Baudi once again, he's going to keep going to the outside. He doesn't want a bump draft, but he's just going to constantly keep showing his nose. And maybe one time this outside move quite well. There's a little bit of a rub between the two of them. Notice how precise Gergo Baudi is. He uses that the tiniest bit of AstroTurf on the left-hand side of the braking zone just to extend his run through the first chicane. It allows him to take a much tighter line on the exit of that first part of the chicane, so that he can really widen out the line through turn 2. as they head side by side through Curva Grande and up towards Della Rosa chicane. This actually could be very, very promising for Gogo Baldi if he brakes very, very late and carries momentum through the corner, but decides not to. Brakes early and drops him behind. He's happy with Ben Spanky leading at present.
Oh, he's got to slow down. Baldi's got to slow down.
Oh, he's now dropped down to third position, and Alexander Dornadon is going to be the one to pile on the pressure to Ben Spanky. We saw Gogo Baldi getting a slow down back in Hockenheim as well for running wide at T1. Cost him 4 positions that day. Only cost him 1 this time.
Still, this is a great opportunity for the 2 main contenders of the championship to get away, Bunky and Dornadon, at the front of the field. I'm not sure if Bunky will be happy with that, because now Dornadon has gained a position.
No, I don't think he will be too happy at that, but at least he's still got his rivals behind him at the moment, does Ben Spanky. Again, at least for now, there are very few gaps up and down the order that are bigger than a second, so everything is staying immensely tight as we look for 6th and 7th place. Nandori versus Brzezinski. They're one that's sort of in a bubble. It's 4 seconds to the car ahead and 5 seconds to the car behind, so they are very much in a bubble in the battle for 6th position. Now, does Brzezinski fight Nandori, or do they work together to try and close that gap to the lead should anything happen? Well, I think you have your answer. Brzezinski's not having any of it and wants to get by the ACR driver ASAP. And Nandori trying to move over. It should be easy moving the brakes. Yep, easily done. In the background, swapping from positions. Oh, who's that coming in way too hot in the background? Was that Noj, maybe? I think it was, yeah. Very hot, made a little bit of contact with the 2 of these as they were side by side in the corner. We look at Jack Keighley again, recovering up to 16th position now. Had recovered to 14th in instant turn 1, dropped him all the way back down the order, and now he's moving back up the order. When does the pit lane open? Oh, that was close. Nandori and Brzezinski, side by side at Della Rosa chicane. That might be a slowdown on Nandori's part now.
It could be, but he was also quite slow when he was sliding there, so maybe he got away with it. That's a tap as well. I think he has a slowdown.
I think he's just fulfilling his commitment to that slowdown in the smartest possible way whilst trying to keep Brzezinski behind rather than serving it immediately. You have a little bit of leeway as to when to actually serve it, and if you serve it through a corner, well then you might be a bit harder to pass. They're going to be side by side up towards Ascari though. Brzezinski's got the inside line. Potentially slightly less favourable though, and through there he's going to cut him off. Yeah, he does. So Kuba Brzezinski straight up into 6th position. Excellent move.
That battle won't be over so quickly. You can see it here. Once you got a gap to another car, then you can really get away. It's very hard to close a gap. But as soon as the other driver is still in your slipstream, you will always have to defend or just let him back past. And it's an interesting battle because I don't think we've seen Nandori and Brzezinski battle against each other before, because Brzezinski really just came up on RaceRoom in the last year, I would say. It's been more on other simulations before. And Nandori, his big years were 2017 this time around. So, hard defending here. Contact under braking. Costing both of them quite a bit of time.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, is that around here, the only time that you can really gap someone, or fill a gap, as we see Nandori pick the air, or with the outside for the Della Rosa chicane, the only time they can really close that gap up is if that lead battle starts really battling. Unfortunately, whilst they're battling, that's never going to happen. And all it's doing is it's going to slow them down and put them under pressure from Haase behind.
Haase's got a bit of clean air, because Juhas and Stulic are still fighting super hard. I think Stulic might have found a new friend here.
Well, potentially they won't lock horns quite as much as he did with his old Bezzy mate, Chris Shepherd. As Bo Dixon, by the way, has been into the pit lane and has fulfilled his pit lane requirement. That's why those things have popped up to the right of the tower, and that's what they show. Anyone with a grey background means they are yet to stop. Anyone with a green background, they have entered the pit lanes. So already fulfilling that commitment is Bo Dixon. Currently a long way off the lead, though.
And look at the lead group. Seems like Baldi actually bringing Notch with him.
Nodge was just kind of sitting there. He was just off the back of it, but I think was picking up enough slipstream to keep in touch with this. And if you look at the background, Moritz Lerner's also not that far behind realistically, and I reckon could still get involved should anything come awry at the front.
Because we've got
Definitely
the pit stops. The pit stops coming up. I would assume that all drivers on this track will only change the front tires because there's not a lot of tire wear at Monza. But what will be interesting is how they deal with their brakes in this race. And we have seen that Baldi especially is quite careful on the braking compared to Bunky in the beginning. So that will be interesting who will run into trouble at the end of the race.
Yeah, we did mention it that at the start of the broadcast that we've moved from a 60-minute race down to a 45-minute race through fear of the braking capabilities of these cars and actually hanging on to their brakes around such an intense circuit. Like I said, it's the highest speed circuit. Oh, you hush well wide. The Stulich's going to get back through. They're going to be side by side into the first Lesmo and Stulich up into ninth. But with it being such a high-speed circuit, but with slow-speed chicanes, it means as much as it is ridiculously high speed, you're heavy on the brakes 3 times every single lap. Ridiculously heavy. Every single time. Jack Keithy moves up into 13th as he makes his way by Torsten Ulrich, who's not had the best start to his afternoon of racing. Dobser has already taken himself out of this evening's race, unfortunately.
You're watching for the first time, you can see there on the left side at the tower, there's some drivers who've got a green icon at the end, and there's the next driver who will get it, Alexander Dorniden. Because that's the icon for a performed pit stop. There's one mandatory pit stop where you have to change at least 2 tires. Because on the front-wheel drive cars will be the fronts. And you have to watch out that you don't speed into the pit lane, that you hit your pit box. It's doing that nicely. Swapping the tires now, and he's the first from the lead group to pit. As the battles continue, Nandori now. Ooh. There's not a lot of room that he had there. Almost goes off, but stays behind Roshinsky.
The one thing that Dorniden's going to be hoping is that he doesn't come out in traffic. Tyre wear, he won't gain too much through fresher rubber as he leaves the pit lane now. But what he will lose time with is there any traffic nearby, but there is not.
Yeah, the car feels a little bit funny for the first 2 laps. Because you've got a difference in temperatures, but very cold front tires. Also quite a bit of a grip difference then, of course, with the worn rear tires. So it's kind of strange to drive for a moment, but then it gets back to normal pretty quickly.
I'm sure with a driver like Alexander Dorniden, he'll be able to drive around it. Don't you worry. Quality driver himself. Balázs Nagy after his pit stop battling with Adam Pinches after his as well. Those bottom 5 on the order, so Dorniden, Pinches, Nagy, Dixon and Barnett all have been into the pit lane for their stop. Doesn't stop them from battling intensely though, does it?
No, plenty of battles all over the field. Here, for example, Gyula Messes, the newcomer in the series, qualified in a great position. I think he was 12th in pre-qualifying, the Hungarian. I think behind Jan Courtois, who's got a pretty decent race here. A little bit further ahead, of course, Stulic versus Juhas.
That was
late.
That was a bit of a slice and dice from Slaven Stulic. Oh, I think Moritz Lerner's been in the pit lane, by the way, as he drops his way down the order. We keep our eye on this top 3. Maurice Lerner really trying to get himself back into it. We'll see where he comes out in comparison to Alexander Dorniden. But Banky, though, just hanging on to the lead at the moment from Gerger Baldi and David Notch. The 2 teammates now link up for that 2nd and 3rd position. Slaven Stulic on the inside for T1. Should be able to hang on. Oh, going to go back down the inside. There's a little bit of a rub, and Slaven Sulic has been departed to the gravel trap there by Christian Ewers. I'm sure he won't like that one.
Certainly won't like that one. And that's interesting here. Dorneden comes out. Well, Lerner comes out behind Dorneden. Not sure if the gap is as big as it used to be. To be honest, actually, I think Dorneden gained a bit of time.
So do I.
Lerner, Brzezinski has been in the pits as well. Keith Lee pinches. Quite a few drivers now already.
That gaining of time, though, might be concerning to the likes of Banki, Gabaldi and Noj, because if he's gained that much time on Lerner, by the time it comes to them coming into the pit stop, is he going to jump them? 25 minutes to go. We've done 20 of them. Ben Spanky heads through the Ascari chicane once again with supreme accuracy from these top three as they've pulled away. They are now 11 seconds clear of Mark Nandary down in 4th place. Of course, yet to stop is Mark Nandary. And anyone down to 14th. Where's Ben Spanky going to go? Is he going to dive to the pit lane? Is he going to hold it left? Certainly in the background, Noj they've both just left. Ben Spanky out there. Noj and Bowdy come straight down the pit lane. Ben Spanky trying to run to a strategy, potentially to the halfway point of the race, where he'll dive into the pit lane at the end of this one, surely. But Bowdy and Noj, really catching them out. Florian Haase stays out. Mark Nandary does not.
We can see it from Alexander Dorneden's point of view. He will be saying, please, come out behind me. Doesn't want to see the orange back of the car of Ben Spanky here. Or of course the backs of Notch's and Baldi's car, but I think Notch and Baldi are both ahead of him there.
They certainly still are, but not by very much. Surprising that one didn't quite work out for him, but he is still well within contention. We'll have to wait until Banky comes down the pit lane and see where he works his way out. Alexander Dorneden has lost a couple of positions there. I don't think it'll affect him too bad come the race end.
Still quite a bit of an advantage for Baldi here, because he's got fresher front tires. And he's gained a position.
Could he gain 2 though? We'll find out at the end of this one through the Lesmo. They go. And Ben Spanky well ahead at the moment, coming onto the back straight towards the Parabolica. And the SDL Esports driver should be heading to the pit lane. Surely, this time by 23 minutes to go. The pit lane wide open for these drivers before that mandatory pit stop. You can see the top 8 are yet to pit. Ben Spanky is going to hold it right potentially. No, he's going to stay out again. Running his own strategy and his own pace potentially. He sees the numbers on his screen and doesn't fancy getting involved in some of the battle packs further down the order. Speaking of which, Nesic going side by side with Courtois, Ponto just behind.
Nesic the car on the outside. They haven't pitted, but it looks like Courtois is going into the pits. Yes, indeed he is.
I know he's going to slipstream all the way up to the Retifilio. Try and make it stick around the outside. Nikola Nesic currently holding firm in 5th position at the moment, and that is what he is going to hang on to. Nice late braking there as Ponto really cut across the inside. Whoa!
Baldi.
Speaking of, that's a slowdown surely. It certainly is. There we go. He's having to give all that time back. He's going to have to drop in behind Alexander Dorneden. David Noj, it's the front of those that have stopped. Courtesy of a mistake of Gergo Baldi's making. Alex Dorneden now trying to make it 2 positions in the same lap as we head towards the De La Roger chicane. But thinking now is not the right time.
That battling is helping Banky, of course.
Yeah, as much as these guys battle, the less time they're going to have on Ben Spanky. By the time he comes out of the pit lane, he could actually be storming ahead Again, it's been 2 race victories for Bence Banky in 2019's CUPRA Simracing Series. And presently, he is the only man to have taken 2. Noj took the first pole position of the season, took the second race win of the season. Alex Dornaden managed to knock. Oh, there's contact there. That was dodgy. They were side by side. I think Baldi was just in a little bit too hot, and contact with Dornaden on the apex of the entrance to the Ascari chicane. Maybe a little bit of desperation creeping in there for the Hungarian driver. Mirai Esports now hit the front end of that pitted field as they are 8th and 9th on the order. At least Florian Haas is in the pit lane. Bence Banky, rather, I believe, has stayed out.
Yeah, but Banky and Stulic are still staying out. Messers is coming in as well. Not sure what happened to Nesic, because he's not counted as having a pit stop. Either way, now here's team tactics. Not getting pushed by Thiago Baldi.
I think the only reason it's not gone green is because they've not completed the pit stop rather than anything else. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. It goes green now. Just the top 4 then, yet to stop. Oof, this is an intense battle, isn't it?
Which is against Juhas, and in the background it's Keithley and a Balázs Notch in the green car.
Keithley desperate to recover some decent positions and decent points and hold himself in a decent position in that championship, but at the moment he's making things very, very difficult for himself. Of course, racked up quite a few penalties at Hockenheim, thanks to various mistakes and incidents. Then aggressive drive. We spoke about this. Oh, they're both very, very quick. Let's get a contact with Pinches, maybe. Oh, that was so close. Rubbing between the two. And just hanging on is Balázs Noj ahead of Jack Keithley. Jack Keithley has been building a reputation for himself in the last few months, or even years, if you're on the party of Tim Heinemann. Has been building that reputation of being a very, very aggressive and assertive driver. As Jack Keithley, again, he likes to paint himself as the villain, and is certainly trying to make himself that to some of these drivers.
He did not complain about his penalty, he just accepted it, said he knew he did something wrong. Seems like he's still going really aggressive, but that could be a great move. See when they come back into the shot. Yes, Keithley ahead of Balázs Notch now.
Very nice. I think at the end of the day, Jack Keithley's got enough racing experience in sim racing to understand when he's done right and done wrong, and has learned from that across his sim racing career. Slaven Stulic hits the pit lane, as I think, does Bence Banky stay out? He does.
Still out.
Madness. Although around the circuit that has such a minimal tyre wear, well, this is the one that you can really make it work. And all he's got is he's got lap after lap after lap of clean air, and more importantly, of Noj, Baldi and Dornaden and the likes not knowing where he is or what he's doing.
Just saw Stulic coming out way further behind than he was previously in the race. He's way behind Juhas now. Even behind Somosi, Ulrich and Messers. Just jump to him. Just didn't want to miss an overtake potentially between Notch, Baldi and Dornaden. This battle here is even closer at the moment. So Stulic just came out of the pits, only P18. There's only 3 drivers who haven't been in the pits, so he lost a massive amount of time.
Curious as to why, but no matter the reason, a lot of work ahead of him. Currently, with approaching 15 minutes to go, that pit window is closing for some of these drivers. There's only 3 yet to do it.
Banky's in now.
Where's he going to come out though? There's Noj. Bit of traffic up ahead.
Yeah, that's Jenny Pasali ahead of him. I mean, in a car that Jaroslav Honzik usually drives, who forgot to qualify. Very sad about this. Jenny Pasali is coming into the pits now, so that was pretty good for Notch. Got a slipstream. Let's see.
And he's got assistance from his teammate directly behind.
There's Banky coming out of the pits. This could be close.
Still ahead, but not by much. Obviously, these two have been setting identical times, but that's a lot of lag.
Sure, if this lag was caused by a Bunky there, that looked really strange.
He was the only one lagging. Noj didn't lag at all. Also, Pointeau has stayed out. That's the car directly ahead of this, the current race leader.
Let's just give shout out to Corentin Pointeau. Proved a lot this year. Absolutely a regular now in the top split races. And now he's got plenty of company. Bunky, Notch, Baldi, and I think Bunky's got a connection problem at the moment as well. That's definitely not helping him because he's jumping up and down on the timing. Oh, Baldi!
Is there going to be contact? No.
How did he catch that?
Either. That was crazy. I'm not even sure what happened there, but either way, he felt he needed to dart out the racing line. I think it might have been something to do with Banky's connection issue. We ride on board with Pointeau, who is just going to hold up Banky here. Is he going to go down the inside? Are they going to try and split themselves apart? I think Pointeau might be coming down the pit lane this time by, though. Is he going to be able to, or is he going to have to lift out massively? Oh, he's going to try. It almost want to be indicated to come across there, and he does indeed. He gets over to that hand side of the circuit and will come straight down pit lane. As David Noj gets by without losing much time.
It's pretty good driving from Pointeau there. Not much he could have done differently. And Noj is going for the move now. Oh, it's very late. He's got the outside once again. Could work around the outside.
He's giving it a good go. He's just there. There's going to be contact between the two. But no, Banky just hangs on. Very, very close, and now this quartet for the lead is super, super tight. The next car you'll see potentially in certain shots in the background is Moritz Lerner, who is a fair way off the back of this, but not insanely so. Things are tight at the top here in Monza, and again, to reassert the championship ramifications, if Ben Banky does have a connection issue, a genuine connection issue here, it will really hurt himself in the championship. This is the second to last round in the CUPRA Simracing Series, and coming into the next round of Macao, things are very, very important.
And we're also getting into the area where the brakes are having an effect.
Now, the one thing that Ben Banky doesn't want is for one of these cars behind to have brake failure, because should they do so... Whoa! What's happening with Baldi again? Slow down, maybe?
I don't think so. Really strange.
Something is spooking him out. Wonder if it's something to do with Ben Banky's connection issues, but we've not been seeing it on our side quite as much recently. But I wonder if he's seeing it more for whatever reason, is feeling the need to dart out of the way every now and then.
And he just caught the grass on the exit of Ascari. Had away Bunky now. Offensive against David Notch once again. Good run from Notch.
He's done it every time, just trying to hold on at the moment is Ben Banky, and it's just dropped Notch back into the hands of Alexander Donovan. He was going to be taking victory in the final longer format race of the season. 12.5 minutes to go in this slightly shortened race, thanks to the issues with the brakes. And are they going to be showing themselves at some point in this final 12 minutes? It is still very possible to get brake failure at this point in the race, isn't it, Rob? Well, not this one, over the next 45 or 12 minutes.
Certainly possible. You have to see how much the drivers prepared for this race and also use the advice to be careful on the braking. But of course it's a hard decision to take in a race. You always want to go as fast as possible. You might lose the gap to someone if you brake carefully, but maybe you have to even be able to finish the race.
It goes back to that old adage, to finish first you have to finish. Pinches gets by Balázs Nagy just in the background of this one, I think. And in the foreground of this, we've got Jack Keithley currently in 9th position, who's made a decent recovery. Oh, there's a bit of a slowdown there on Juhas's point of view, and he drops down to 12th. There's going to be side-by-side up to Ascari there as well, but we cut away to refocus on this battle for the lead. Massively sideways at the Parabolica was Gergo Baldi. Excellent view to see that unfold. And now, who's going to be making a move on who? Coming down into the Rettifilio once again. Oh, there's that slipstream coming into full effect. That's on Adornadon. Where's he going to look, if at all? Oh, it's just no one's really far alongside enough. And that's that one done. Hung on to nicely by Ben Spanky. He's doing a very good defensive drive at the moment here, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he hasn't been passed at all.
It's been close, but he likes leading, and that is presently what he's doing. I think he'd really like for Gergo Baldi to get involved with the German of Alexander Dornadon. But that won't sort out his issue of Nagy behind. Again, we've seen the pace out of Nagy this season. We saw that pole position back in the Nürburgring. We saw a race win at the Nürburgring. And really fighting for the championship in the early part of the season. Unfortunately, it's not quite gone his way so far. But Nagy once again showing some excellent pace and racecraft. Slipstream just not working quite as much. We see in the background Gergo Baldi looking out on Dornadon to pulls back in. Nothing happening yet. Oh, who's that? Juhas, Christian Juhas. Whoa, hello. That's coming into the first Lesmo. Unfortunately, Juhas's race done and dusted, basically. And what is not done and dusted is this. The lead battle. Continuing how tight it is. Banky leads Nagy, leads Dornadon and Baldi. Not too far behind this to pick up the pieces should anything happen. Oh, going down the inside and trying to hold it. And I think that might just stick for the inside line for David Nagy. He's going to have to hold on to that with some late braking. They're side by side in the background as well. And that's it. Oh, it's gone straight over the AstroTurf. That's going to be a slowdown for Ben Spanky for sure. Surely it is. They're still side by side through Curva Grande. David Nagy realistically had the upper ground. I wonder what's going to happen with Ben Spanky as we head towards the De La Roche chicane.
I think he's trying to get back past him here. Oh, now he's taking the slowdown. That's a big slowdown as well. Costing him the place to Alexander Dornadon. Well, not as big as I thought, actually.
Unless he's still got more of it to serve.
But still, I'm not sure if he will be happy about that, because there was certainly contact. And of course, Nagy was on the inside, but always hard to tell in these situations.
I think the one thing he might be more miffed about was that he, in his eyes, came up to the track limit, which is the white line, to defend that position on the start-finish straight, and David Nagy decided, I'm not going to stick with that this time, but I'm going to go beyond that and onto the tarmac. So, well, we'll have to see if that one unfolds itself. I'm pretty sure it's absolutely fine, but either way, the leader now is the Hungarian of David Nagy, looking for his second victory of the season to put himself on the list with Ben Spanky, and Alex Dornadon looking to really, really put himself in an excellent position before he heads into the unfavoured Macao circuit for him. He wants that title.
Even if it stays like this, it won't be enough for Dornadon. Even if he wins here and he finishes in third, it won't be enough to secure the title here in Monza. It will be a perfect position in Macao, because he doesn't necessarily need a good result. It's all pressure on Banky, who will have to perform very well on the reverse grid race.
Alex Dornadon, our very, very, very first WTCC esports champion a long time ago, a good couple of years now, looking to secure himself at least one hand on the trophy for the CUPRA Simracing Series, and that is an excellent cutback, but it's going to give him the outside line through Curva Grande, which is just not going to work out for him. obviously drops back in line. Just trying to see if he can get himself out and see what he can find, but there's just nothing, no inch, really.
Chicane by notch.
Yeah, he's doing everything he possibly can. There's really not very long in this race. There'll be, I think, 3 laps when they come round to complete this one. 3 more times he has to hang on. Not going to be easy, though. Especially not against a trio of that caliber behind Dorniden, Banky and Baldi. If there's a trio of sim racers...
Oh, mistake!
That's lag.
That's a disconnect. That's a disconnect because it's only notch. Oh, he's back! He's back in the front. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
That
we
was
saw
crazy.
that from who was it?
From Lerner last time,
wasn't it? Yeah, Lerner, who had a massive lag moment.
And he's gone
he's got again. That'd be a shame to lose it in such scenario as that. We'll see if he pops back in or if that's his race done.
He's not on my overlay anymore.
I think he's gone.
Man, that's heartbreak for David Notch.
That is terrible. What it does mean, though, is our two main championship contenders are battling at the lead. I see Barrier as well moving around the order. I don't know if that comes down to technical issues. But Dorniden now going to have to defend from his closest championship rival of Ben Spanky, who really wants to move himself back into contention. If he does so, it will be an immense drive from Ben Spanky. We've got the WTCC Esports Champion leading the WTCR Esports Champion.
Well, and there's a new online champion at least. That's Gago Baldi.
Gago Baldi as well.
Third. These cars, these drivers know front-wheel drive cars in and out. RaceRoom racing experience.
Yeah, of course. They say the Banky and Baldi are both heading their way off to Malaysia next month, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's next month. Dorniden did not get the invite to that. Realistically, he's massively wide in the second lesmo though. And Ben Spanky doesn't need a second invitation to that, does he? Oh, an odd mistake there from the German driver. It's dropped him both positions on the podium. So from first to third through that mistake. And through mistakes like that is realistically what has cost him that ticket to Malaysia. Of course, the 3 main champions in that WTC. Look at this from Lerner as well, getting back involved.
Yeah, it's just gaining time here while they were battling. He could focus on his own race.
He should be well in the slipstream now with 2 to go. At the end of this one, Banky retakes the lead. And Moritz Lerner of Williams Esports, that 4th car in the background, is catching fast as well. He's got the biggest amount of slipstream and the most amount of space to use it. Ben Spanky heads all the way over. He's going to cover himself up even further so that the mistake doesn't happen to Nodge. Baldi's like, no, let's keep going, mate. Let's keep going quicker and quicker, please. Which way is he going to go? He doesn't decide to go anyway. Gago Baldi wants to keep Alex Dorniden behind at least for now. But
Stay
massively
from Banky.
wide. Oh, that's another time he's done. That's going to be a slowdown. As we say, he's going to be in third for sure. That's another time. That's the 3rd time I think I've seen Ben Spanky do that this race.
And he will wait a little bit to take a slowdown.
When's he going to take it? There we go. There's a bit of it. There's a bit of time. He's determined to keep Dorniden behind. I think he may slow down here even more. Whatever's left is required. He may slow down some more.
It could be a bigger slowdown because it was a 2nd offense or a 3rd offense in the same corner, and they add up. So Dorniden made a mistake. Now Banky made a mistake, and that puts Baldi into the lead.
And it's put Lerner back in this fight. Wow. Not what I was expecting to happen come this track. Gago Baldi looking for his, if I'm not mistaken, first victory of the season. In fact, I'm definitely not. Pretty sure I'm not. Banky's taken 2, Dorniden 1.
Notch one and Brzezinski.
And Notch one, yeah. So Bowdy looking for his first, Donovan for his second, Banky for his third. How are things going to unfold over the next 5 and a bit kilometres of the highest speed racetrack in Europe and on the calendar? Here we are. Tensions are super, super high. The final lap here at Monza before we head our way to Macao for the season finale, and a championship definitely up for grabs there. Dornadon and Banky, the two closest rivals on that. Bowdy's holding the inside, or holding the outside rather, or the left-hand side, which will be the inside for the next part of the chicane. He's got plenty of room to hold it. A man of his experience just hanging on to the lead there. It was Dornadon just trying to get it done. We've spoken before about how Dornadon wants to get this done, or at least as many hands on the trophy as he possibly can get before heading to Macao, a track which shows much tension across the entirety of the sim racing community. And certainly one where a lot of work is going to have to go should anyone want to get back into the championship. They're going to fling it over the curbs one final time at the De La Rogière chicane, and currently holding strong at the top end of the order is Gergo Bowdy. What would have happened had Bence Banky not made that mistake? I'm sure Dornadon is thinking the same thing. Coming into the corner where Dornadon did make that mistake. He's very late on the brakes again, massively over the curb on the inside. He's going to use that slipstream. That's an excellent run through that corner, Rob.
It's not going for the slipstream at the moment. That's interesting.
Very curious as to why he didn't feel it. Maybe he feels that he's going to get Ascari absolutely perfect later on the brakes than he is for Bowdy. But Bowdy, I think, has taken a better run, at least through this part. It's going to give him a nice clean exit. And there we go. You can see Bowdy just pulling away ever so slightly on the exit of that corner. He brings them all the way over to the left-hand side of the circuit. And I don't think Dornadon has anything for him. And for the first time then, through the Parabolica, as long as he's got this done right, I think he has. Now the start-finish line is a bit further down than we would expect. I do remember that, but it's just not going to be enough, surely, as we finish through the Parabolica for the final time towards the line. Gergo Bowdy is going to do it. The Hungarian on top, finally, in the CUPRA Simracing Series, as Alexander Dornadon and Bence Banky head to second and third, and the championship rolls on to Macao. Wow. Good drive there for Gergo Bowdy. Again, another mistake from Bence Banky.
Perfect outcome, I would say, for Dorny. And after his mistake, still got by his closest championship rival, Bence Banky. Moritz Löhner also keeping his chances alive. A solid 4th position ahead of Brzezinski, ahead of Florian Hasse. And then Mark Nundery, shout out to him, in P7, always good at Monza. Ahead of Jack Keithley, who started last.
Yeah, and was spun off as well. Was involved in an incident anyway at T1, trying to close to the back of Mark Nundery. Of course, Mark Nundery drives for ACR. Jack Keithley used to drive for ACR. We see Adam Pinchas as well in 9th position. Just behind him is Slaven Stilic, who's done a good job to recover some of his good pace. But that pretty much wraps us up there for the 45-minute race here at Monza, and it has certainly been an exciting one, Rob.
That certainly has been a heartbreak, of course, for David Notch, who could have won this race, who was in the lead of the race and then disconnected. Came back and disconnected again. But
a terrible shame indeed. But one thing that we do know is that in a week's time, only 1 week, I remind you, we've had 2 weeks across the rest of the season, but for this time it is a single week until we head to the final round of the season. You can see our finishing order there ahead of you, and you can see some of those good drives from certain drivers, but it is the Hungarian of Gergo Bowdy on top of the race standings.
It will be an interesting final at Macao for sure. Forward to it. Exactly in 1 week, and we have 2 races once again.
Yeah, back to that sprint race format. It's going to be not a long turnover for us, and a lot of work to do in that time. But thank you very much, every single one of you, for joining us this time. And we will see you in a single week as we head to Macao for the season finale of the CUPRA Simracing Series. Thank you from Lewis McGlade and Robert Wiesenmüller. And until next time, goodbye.
What is it that drives us forward each and every day? going faster, further, lap after lap. CUPRA already invented the race car of the future, the world's first 100% electric racing car. A car to set new standards in racing. Now the time has come to expand this vision together by inventing new paths and constantly challenging us to think ahead, by taking racing to new exciting places and rethinking the way we experience it. Like turning virtual into reality and constantly reinventing.
By making you part of the game.